Our journey begins in the heart of Kentucky, where rolling green hills and humid summer air hold one of America's greatest secrets. We're headed south of Louisville, to a place whose very name conjures images of impenetrable vaults and untold riches. This is the land of Fort Knox, a landmark woven into the fabric of global finance and national security. But what if I told you the Fort Knox you imagine, the silent, brooding fortress of gold, is only a fraction of the story? The name actually belongs to two distinct, yet intertwined, entities. Our mission today is to peel back the layers of legend and discover the sprawling, dynamic world of the United States Army post that gives the famous vault its name. Imagine a vast expanse of 109,000 acres, a territory so large it spills across 3 Kentucky counties. This is the true Fort Knox, a city unto itself, pulsating with the life of thousands of soldiers and their families. It is a place of thunderous history and cutting-edge military science, far more complex and fascinating than a simple lockbox. First, let's address the icon, the legend that draws all eyes here, the United States Bullion Depository. Picture a fortress of granite, steel, and concrete rising from the earth, a modern-day castle built not for a king, but for a nation's wealth. Operated by the Department of the Treasury, its stark, windowless facade is a testament to its singular, solemn purpose. Inside these walls, protected by the elite United States Mint Police, lies over half of the country's official gold reserves. Imagine the scene in 1936. Combat cars of the 1st U.S. Cavalry escorting nearly 13,000 metric tons of pure gold to its new home. This isn't just a building, it's a symbol of economic stability, a dragon's hoard on a national scale. This vault is a guardian of more than just gold. During the darkest days of World War II, it was entrusted with the nation's soul, safeguarding the original copies of the U.S. Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. It has held not just the currency of the nation, but the very documents that define it. Now, let's pull our gaze away from the glitter of the depository and turn to the vast military installation that surrounds it. This is Fort Knox, the Army post, named for a hero of the American Revolution, Henry Knox. He was the chief of artillery who helped win our independence and the nation's very first Secretary of War, a fitting namesake for a place built on strength and strategy. Nation. We must travel back to the Civil War, to 1861, when these strategic hills overlooking the Ohio River were first fortified. Here, on Muldraugh Hill, Union forces built Fort Duffield to control vital turnpikes and rivers. Imagine the tension of that era, a contested land where Union and Confederate forces clashed relentlessly. This wasn't a place of quiet farms, but a hotbed of conflict, frequently raided by organized guerrilla bands. The infamous Confederate cavalryman John Hunt Morgan thundered through this very area before his daring raid into the North, leaving a legacy of strife and strategic importance. After the war, small communities dotted the landscape, but the land's military destiny was not yet fulfilled. The turn of the 20th century saw the area used for massive military maneuvers, a prelude to its future. Then, in 1918, as the Great War raged in Europe, the U.S. government leased 20,000 acres near the village of Stithton, and the foundation of a permanent training center was laid. This new post, christened Camp Knox, quickly grew, becoming a vital hub for training artillery units. Though its development slowed after the war, its purpose was clear: to mold citizen soldiers, National Guardsmen, and reserve officers. For a brief period, it even enjoyed a peaceful existence as the Camp Henry Knox National Forest, a quiet chapter before the storm of another world war. The winds of change blew in 1931 with the arrival of a new kind of soldier, the mechanized cavalry. The horse was giving way to the engine, and Camp Knox was about to become the epicenter of this revolution. In 1932, it was officially designated a permanent garrison and renamed Fort Knox, the home of America's new iron steeds. The success of German blitzkrieg tactics in Europe lit fire into the U.S. Army. Fort Knox roared to life, becoming the headquarters of the newly established armored force in 1940. For the next 60 years, this was the undisputed home of the tank, where generations of soldiers learned to command these steel beasts, from the Shermans of World War II to the mighty M1 Abrams. The base exploded in size to meet the demands of World War II, with nearly 4,000 buildings sprawling across its expanded territory. Godman Army Airfield buzzed with training aircraft, and the Armored Force School became the forge where America's tank supremacy was hammered into shape. This was the heart of American armor, beating with the rhythm of engines and the fire of cannons. You cannot speak of American armor without invoking the name of General George S. Patton. His spirit haunts these grounds, a larger-than-life figure whose audacious tactics were born from the doctrine developed right here. His legacy is not just in history books, it is physically present, waiting for us to explore. Our next stop is the General George Patton Museum of Leadership, a striking modern building that stands as a tribute to Patton and the armored forces he led. As you approach, you feel the weight of history, the presence of a man who believed in audacity, firepower, and the indomitable will to win. The museum is more than a collection of artifacts, it's a masterclass in command. Inside, you'll find Patton's iconic ivory-handled pistols, his personal Cadillac, and exhibits that trace the evolution of the U.S. cavalry from horse to tank. You can stand before the very machines that liberated Europe and feel the echoes of the crews who called them home. It's a powerful, tangible connection to a pivotal era in world history. But here lies a fascinating twist in our story. In 2011, after 60 years as the soul of American armor, the U.S. Army Armor School departed Fort Knox, relocating to Fort Benning, Georgia. An era had ended. For a moment, it seemed the fort's primary identity had vanished, its thunderous purpose silenced. Yet, Fort Knox is defined by resilience and adaptation. Just as the cavalry traded horses for tanks, the fort found a new, vital mission. In 2014, the U.S. Army Cadet Command relocated here, transforming the post into the primary training ground for the next generation of Army officers. Every summer, the grounds teem with the energy and ambition of thousands of ROTC cadets from across the country. The echoes of Patton's leadership now guide the young men and women who will lead the soldiers of tomorrow. Fort Knox is no longer just about forging armor, it's about forging leaders. This spirit of renewal is visible everywhere. In 2009, the Army Human Resources Command, the nerve center for managing the careers of every soldier, began its move to Fort Knox. This led to the largest construction project in the post's history, a massive, state-of-the-art complex. The result is the Human Resource Center of Excellence, a nearly 900,000 square foot facility that stands as the largest office building in Kentucky. It is here that the lives and careers of 4,300 soldiers and civilians intertwine, managing the Army's most valuable asset, its people. This represents another evolution, from a post of combat arms to a center of human capital. And in 2020, history came full circle once more. The colors of the legendary V Corps, Victory Corps, were reactivated at Fort Knox after being cased in Germany years earlier. This storied unit, with a history stretching back to the battlefields of Europe, now calls Fort Knox home, reaffirming the post's strategic importance on the global stage. Let's return to the Patton Museum, for it holds a story that transcends World War II and speaks to a more recent, raw chapter in American history. An exhibit here is dedicated to the leadership challenges that arose from the attacks of September 11, 2001. It is a quiet, somber, and profoundly moving space. At the heart of this exhibit sits a ghost of the Pentagon attack, Firetruck Foam 161. Its metal is charred, twisted, and partially melted from the unimaginable heat of the crash. It is a visceral, heartbreaking artifact of that day, a silent witness to the bravery of the first responders. This exhibit also honors Lieutenant General Timothy Maude, the highest-ranking military officer killed in the 9/11 attacks. In a fitting tribute, the massive Human Resources Complex at Fort Knox is named the Timothy Maude Center of Excellence. His legacy of service and leadership is now permanently etched into the fort's modern identity. From the somber to the surreal, Fort Knox has even had its moment in the Hollywood spotlight. The 1981 comedy classic Stripes, starring Bill Murray, was famously filmed here. While security concerns kept the cameras from venturing inside sensitive areas, the film captured the look and feel of life on a U.S. Army post, introducing Fort Knox to a new generation in a very different light. After the grand sweep of history, it's easy to forget that Fort Knox is a living community. The post operates its own public school system, from pre-kindergarten to high school. Children of soldiers learn and play here, their lives a unique blend of typical American childhood and the distinct culture of the military. Walking through the residential areas, you see a snapshot of modern military life. The housing units are home to thousands of families, creating a diverse and constantly changing population. The demographics tell a story of a young, dynamic community, with a median age of just 22 years old. The racial makeup is a microcosm of the nation's diversity, a melting pot of backgrounds and cultures united by service. This is a place where a young family from California might live next door to a family from Georgia, their children playing together on the same street, forming bonds that cross regional and cultural lines. The statistics paint a clear picture of a community built around the military mission. For every 100 females, there are over 155 males, a ratio typical of a major military installation. It's a society where duty schedules, deployments, and shared sacrifice shape the rhythms of daily life. Life here is not without its challenges. The median income reflects the structured pay scales of the military, and a percentage of families live near the poverty line. Yet, the sense of community and the support systems in place are incredibly strong, creating a safety net you won't find in most civilian towns. Geographically, Fort Knox sits in a beautiful part of Kentucky, characterized by hot, humid summers and mild winters. The humid subtropical climate means lush greenery in the summer and a gentle coolness in the fall. It's a land of vibrant seasons, a backdrop that has remained constant through all the fort's transformations. The base is so large that it completely surrounds the small city of Muldraugh, a unique geographical quirk. Fort Knox is also a close neighbor to several charming Kentucky towns like Elizabethtown and Vine Grove. These communities have a symbiotic relationship with the post, their economies and cultures deeply intertwined with the soldiers and civilians who pass through their shops and restaurants. In 1947, Fort Knox hosted a unique social experiment, the Universal Military Training Experimental Unit. This project tested the idea of providing holistic basic training to young recruits, focusing on their physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. It was an ambitious attempt to redefine military service in peacetime, a fascinating footnote in the fort's long history of innovation. As we prepare to leave, we look back at this incredible place. It is a landscape of profound contrasts. The impenetrable silence of the Bullion Depository stands against the vibrant, bustling life of the army post. The echoes of Civil War cannons, the roar of Patton's tanks, and the determined footsteps of today's cadets all mingle in the air. This land has been a testing ground for tactics, a forge for leaders, and a home for generations of American service members. It is a place of constant evolution, never static, always adapting to the needs of the nation. We came looking for the story of gold and found something far more valuable. We discovered a narrative of human endeavor, of strategic genius, and of unwavering dedication. The true treasure of Fort Knox is its living history, a legacy of strength that continues to be built every single day. The name Fort Knox will forever be linked with the gold in its vault, a symbol of security and power recognized around the globe. But for those who look closer, for those who walk these grounds, it is so much more. It's a testament to the idea that a nation's true strength lies not in what it hoards, but in the character of the people it produces. So as you drive away, past the gates and back into the rolling Kentucky countryside, carry with you the real story of Fort Knox. It is not just a place on a map, but a powerful symbol of American resilience. A fortress of gold, yes, but more importantly, a fortress of grit, leadership, and the enduring spirit of the American soldier.